Like the silliest thing I ever heard of. Old man Hogan would blast us out of the country if he knew about this.
Oh, we'll take care of old Hogan later.
Yeah, well, we more than get a job till you get us all involved in some kind of foolishness.
Now, don't get excited. I've got this thing all figured out. Come on, let's get busy laying that pipe. Well, Miss Millie, it's all finished. That storage tank will fill from dry in 2 hours by just turning a handle.
Oh, I'm afraid it'll be a real war when Mr. Hogan finds out about it.
Oh, he won't find out. The pipe is too well concealed in that field of wheat.
But it won't be long till we have to cut the wheat.
You didn't have to think of that. Oh, anyway, besides, by that time, Hogan and your mother will be billing and cooing.
Oh, I hope you're right. But what's your next move?
Well, I'm going back to call on Mr. Hogan with a story about your mother that'll bring him to tear shedding. That I met her in town with her daughter.
Say you did.
And when she found out that I was working for you, well, she broke down and told me all those things.
Well, and I just can't believe it. I can't believe that Luella May Carter would admit that she was wrong.
Well, she sure did.
Yes.
And in no uncertain terms.
Yes.
That she would never forgive herself for treating you like she had.
Well, I just have to admire anyone that will admit their mistakes.
And about making you move that barn of yours over 14 inches.
Yes.
She almost cried when she told me how cruel she was about it.
Well, son, I've done some pretty mean things to Luella May myself. I reckon that people lose their better judgment and senses when they start to infringe on one another.
It looks to me as she's done more than her share of apologizing.
Yeah, that's right. The least I can do is to meet her halfway. Tell you what I want you to do, Willin. You go to Mrs. Carter and tell her not to feel so badly. Tell her I forgive her every mean, low-down thing she's ever done to me.
Well, I'm sure she'll appreciate your liberal understanding, Mr. Hogan.
Yeah.
I'll ride over at once.
Good.
Hogan is amazing, Mrs. Carter.
Well, I simply can't believe the old hypocrite would admit it. Oh, isn't it wonderful that he did?
Sure is. I was just riding by, on our side of the creek, of course, when I run into him, and he really bends over backwards telling me how bad he'd been.
I think it's wonderful that this feud has come to an end after all these years.
Well, just between us, when I was a spell younger, I was mighty fond of Lem Hogan. To think that he went to the trouble and expense of laying a pipeline from his creek to my water storage tank.
Well, that sure was nice of him, all right.
Mother, why don't you invite him over for supper tonight?
Well, that's a wonderful idea. I'll send him a letter. Will you take it to him, Willie?
Be glad to, Miss Carter.
Then I'll be back in a few minutes. I'll go right.
All right.
Oh, isn't it just too good to be true?
Well, so far, so good. Now, the big problem is to keep them on a friendly basis after they find out we framed them.
I just hope that will take care of itself.
I'll tell you what you do. Get your mother to spruce up and look her best.
Leave it to me. You'll bring Al and Jimmy back with you?
Why should I invite competition?
What do you mean?
Well, I've got you all to myself now, and where women are concerned, Al and Jimmy's friendship means nothing to me.
Is that nice?
Well, in a way, it's mighty nice, sometimes.
Here you are, son. Take this note to old Lem and tell him not to disappoint me. Well, I've got things to do. Come, Millie. You've got to work on the supper. I must get my nice dress out and iron it.
Luella May, that dinner was wonderful.
It sure is, Miss Carter.
Well, I'm so glad you can enjoy it.
You know, this is so much better than all this fighting and quarreling we've been doing, don't you think so?
Miss Millie, pass me some of them taters.
Sure, here you are, Jimmy.
I just want you to know, Lem, that I've forgiven you for everything you've done.
You forgiven me?
Oh, she means she's sorry that this all happened.
Oh, yes, yeah. Well, the same goes for me, Luella May. I'm forgetting all the things you've done, too.
Pass the
But,
gravy.
Lem,
Oh, would you have some gravy, Al?
I don't mind if I do, Miss Millie.
It's sure nice to see old friends forgive each other.
Yes,
It
good.
sure is.
Oh, here comes Sam, our handyman. What is it, Sam?
Miss Carter, the water tank is overflowing, and I can't find the handle that turns the cockeyed thing off.
Oh, pass the chicken, quick.
Water? Water in your
Oh,
tank?
the handle's next to the ground on the back leg of the tank, Sam.
Thank you, Miss Carter. But don't reckon it hurts the wasting of that water now, since we got all of it we need. I'll tend to it right away, man.
You know, for a minute I thought he said your tank was overflowing with water.
Oh, now, Lem, you're just trying to be modest. The boys have already told me the wonderful thing you did, and I think you're mighty nice to do it.
I don't... That is...
Have some kraut, Mr. Hogan.
Don't mind if I do, Millie. Always did like kraut.
Lem, after all that's happened between us, I think I should share a little of the expense of the water pipe.
What if...
Say, pass another piece of that bread there.
I don't think I understand, Llewellyn, May.
I'd like to have some more hominy there, please.
Oh, now, Lem, you're being modest again.
More coffee,
Now,
please.
listen. Wait a minute. Let's not beat around the bush any longer. What's all this talk about water, and what did I have to do with it?
Do you mean that? Are you serious?
Never more serious in my whole life. You haven't by any chance run a pipeline from my creek to your water tank. Have you, Llewellyn May Carter?
I did not. You did.
I did. I've been checked.
And I'm beginning to think I've been. Now, Mother.
Now, we can explain this, Mr.
There's
Hogan.
plenty explaining to do. If this has been a trick to pull the wool over my eyes, I'll make you pay and pay and pay and pay. Llewellyn May Carter, you old battle axe.
Ah, you
Yes.
Mickey Mouse.
Yes.
You rip
Why,
right off
yes.
in it.
You too, Mr. Hogan. You're in Miss Carter's home. Now, quiet
Yes.
down. There's a way to settle this thing and carry on with the goodwill you had for each other a few minutes ago.
Oh, it's all our fault. Trying to bring you two together again.
But this water, I don't...
Well, I might have known this was too good to be true. Why,
Mother, Mr. Hogan, now both of you settle down.
All right.
This was all our doing, to bring you folks together.
Yeah.
And now you're both being pig-headed. Now, be honest. Wasn't it nice to be friends again?
Well,
Yeah, I reckon. Yes, it was. Oh, I've been a pig-headed old fool.
no, I've been the fool, Lem, and
No, I
I'm going to
haven't.
let bygones be bygones.
Well, that's mighty decent of you, Llewellyn May. I've carried my grudge too far. And to prove that I mean it, I'm going to break down here and now and tell you of the ace card I had up my sleeve.
Well, that's being a real man, Lem.
Remember when that surveyor said my barn was 14 inches on your property?
Yes, Lem, and I'm sorry we had trouble about that.
Then you built your food house plumb up against my barn after I moved it?
That's right, Lem. I'm sorry about all that.
Well, I just want to make a clean breast of everything. So I'll tell you about it right now. When I moved my barn over, I moved it over 24 inches. And now your feed house is sitting 10 inches over into my property.
Oh, that's all right about that, Lem. What was that?
I just said that your
And the feud kept going on just as before. Heard with the Riders of the Purple Sage in today's story were Miss Daphne Drake as Millie, Miss Ruth Parrott as Llewellyn May, and Joe Forte as Lem Hogan. Now, here once again are the Riders of the Purple Sage with an all-time favorite of yours. Put on your old gray bonnet, boys.
On the old farmhouse veranda, there sat Silent and Miranda, dreaming of the days gone by. Said she, dearie, don't be weary, you were always bright and cheery, but a tear, dear, dims your eye. They're not tears of sadness, Silas, they are tears of gladness. 'Tis 50 years today since we were wed. Then the old man's dim eyes brightened, and his stern old heart it lightened, as he turned to her and said, put on your old gray bonnet, with the blue ribbons on it, while I hitch old Robin to the shade. Through the field of clover we'll drive up to Dover on our golden wedding day. It was in the same old bonnet with the same blue ribbons on it, in the old shay by your side, that I drove you up to Dover through the same old fields of clover to become my blessed bride. The birds were sweetly singing and the same old bells were ringing as we passed the quaint old church where we were wed. And that night while stars were gleaming, the old couple lay dreaming of the words she said. Put on your old gray bonnet with the blue ribbons on it, while I hitch old Robin to the shade. Through the field of clover we'll drive up to Dover on our golden wedding day.
Ever since some rancher along the road decided that he'd better devise some method of identifying his cattle from that of his neighbors, branding has been an important part of cattle raising. Brand identification is important in the bread baking business, too. But you don't need a brand to recognize Weber's bread. You can tell it by its firm, even texture, golden brown crust, and distinctive flavor. Weber's bread has been an outstanding favorite with Southern California families for many years because it's not only good bread, it's good all the time. And for newcomers who have not yet tried Weber's bread, it does have an identifying mark. It's the familiar blue gingham wrapper, a brand as famous as the bread is good. So buy Weber's bread when you go shopping. You'll like it.
Back to our men of the West from out of the West with another song of the West that you've been waiting to hear them sing. The Riders of the Purple Sage and one of the great Western classics of all time, Red River Valley.
From this valley they say you are going. We will miss your bright eyes and sweet smile. For they say you are taking the sunshine that has brightened our pathway a while. Come and sit by my side if you love me. Do not hasten to bid me adieu, but remember the Red River Valley and the one that has loved you so true. As you go to your home by the ocean, may you never forget those sweet hours that we spent in the Red River Valley, and the love we exchanged mid the clouds. Come and sit by my side if you love me. Do not hasten to bid me adieu, but remember the Red River Valley and the one that has loved you so true.
Well, it's another week come and gone, and it's been mighty nice being with you again. We'd feel mighty good having you drop in again next week. That goes for Al Sloey, Jimmy Dean, and all of the Riders of the Purple Sage. This is Foy Willing saying so long, and good luck to you all.
From Hollywood, you've heard your all-star Western theater. A V.M. Bear production starring America's great Western singers, Foy Willing and the Riders of the Purple Sage. My name is Cotton C. Clark, inviting you all to be on hand next week for your all-star Western theater.
This program came to you from Columbia Square.